Good afternoon and good evening, everyone. We are here in The Hague, but I know many of you are in India, so I think it's a bit later for you guys, around 6 o'clock. Thank you all so much for your understanding that there was a bit of a rescheduling, very last minute. Apologies about that. But we now have Esther here with us from Microsoft. So it's great that some of you are here. I know that sometimes what happens is that you send forward a representative from your groups. So even though there's not many in the chat, hopefully you have some questions from your group. And otherwise, hopefully some other people join very quickly. This is the last Q&A session for Challenge 5. So if you're from a different group which is not Challenge 5, you're slightly in the wrong place, but you can check the YouTube, and we have had the other Q&As there in the last couple of days. So if you're part of Challenge 5, you are in the right place. Without further ado, I'll kind of leave it over to Esther. This is primarily a Q&A, so you can either put your hand up or type something into the chat or the Q&A. And then Esther can give you all some good information. So without further ado, over to you, Esther.
Yeah, I'll do a quick self-introduction and then I quickly introduce the challenge. I just mentioned to Alexander, unfortunately, I have an eye infection right now, so that is why it looks quite funny. But trust me, I'm going to be okay. It's not how it normally looks. My name is Esther Schaag van Luit. I'm based in the Netherlands. I also participated last year in this challenge, and actually I am an very old intern of HCSS. I think that was like 15 years ago, where my internship with HCSS before joining the cybersecurity field. So that's why I always have a very warm heart towards HCSS, and I enjoy taking part in this program. I spent most of my career with Deloitte, initially as a consultant in their cybersecurity strategy and transformation team. So we did a lot of big transformation programs at organizations looking to build their security organization. And then I became the Chief Information Security Officer for Deloitte Netherlands, Belgium, and the Dutch Caribbean. I did that for around almost 10 years in total, and now I joined Microsoft last year. I go by many titles, but in practice, I am what we call a field CISO, which is basically a CISO working for a vendor, and I consult and help our Microsoft customers with any strategic issues they have on cybersecurity. So there, I learn from what I see at other customers. I learn, of course, from everything that Microsoft does and sees in terms of threat intelligence and products, and I have strategic discussions with our customers on cybersecurity. So a very interesting and diverse role. Last year, I brought in the challenge that you were working on, and it is still a super relevant topic. So this challenge definitely holds true for this year as well. But the reason why I wrote the challenge in this way is because AI is a very hyped topic. I see this in my work as well when I talk to customers. They always start off with, I want to have AI, and then you go like, okay, so what do you want it for then? And then there is a long pause, and we then kind of, we have discussions on how and what it could help them with. And there's this entire maturity kind of curve on them saying, I want AI, give me AI, and then them actually leveraging it in a way that is meaningful and provide sense in their organization. And so this challenge was written with the aim of kind of taking you away from that hype of AI for cybersecurity. It's asking you to pretend to be a security leader in an organization. This might be an organization that you currently work at, that you want to take as an example, or it could be a fictional organization. And so you get to pretend to be a security leader and try and make as concrete as possible what are the benefits for your organization, what kind of use cases would you like to use it for. Then the second bullet is, okay, where does it actually threaten your organization? And then that third bullet is, okay, if we bring it to life and we actually put AI into an organization, we often work together with a lot of different teams on, for instance, privacy and IT to really bring it to life. So when we think of implementation, what would that look like in your organization? And do you have any concerns? So it's trying to make it as businessy and pragmatic as possible, because in the end, I appreciate you're probably at different phases of your career. Either you're already working or maybe you're still students. But in the end, this is what doing security in a business is like, where you get to ask these questions and formulate answers to it. So with that, that's my quick introduction, and I look forward to seeing what kind of questions you've got for me.
Amazing. So thank you so much. I didn't actually know you were an intern at HCSS previously.
I was at your
That's
reunion the
good to
other day,
hear.
and I was definitely, well,
Yeah.
I don't want to say
Ah,
the oldest, but the um, the earliest cohort intern that was present, I think.
amazing, amazing, great. Well, it's still going strong, so um it's great. Yeah, to see. Let's see. So if you want to raise your hand up, you can do that, or just into the chat or the Q&A. I see that we have one in the Q&A already. I don't know so if you can see the Q&A as well. I'm not sure. Yeah.
I can
So
see it's
maybe
loading. Ah, yes. Okay. Yes. So how much can we use AI itself in the creation? Since the topic is about AI itself, you can. You're fully free to use AI in whatever way you want. Of course, we recommend a balance of critical thinking skills plus maybe AI helping you. I use Copilot a lot, of course, because I work for Microsoft. I find it most useful in the brainstorming phase and in the research phase. But I do think critical thinking skills are very important. So I would say combine those two. What we did have last year were a number of videos that were also created by AI. And the video that ended up winning was actually one that wasn't. That was a PowerPoint recording and people talking to it. But we had two, so I had to pick up from three entries, if I remember correctly. And the other two were created with AI, and they were visually very interested and very nicely narrated. But in terms, how to say it, in terms of answering the actual questions from the challenge, the structure was less solid. Like the team that did it manually, you could tell they read the brief. They were very structured in answering all of the points, and that's what made it stood out. So you're welcome to use AI. I just found last year that sometimes it glossed over some of the important aspects of the challenge, and that's why the manual entry ended up winning.
absolutely. I think it's something that really, in probably all walks of life, and I think most students here at university, people can generally see as well if everything is done by like AI. So I think just uploading the challenge into ChatGPT and then saying make a video, it probably won't end up very well. But
It looked very flashy, but in terms of content, it was just not the same. Let's see, we have another
um,
question. Whether you pretend to be a security leader in Microsoft, you can. There's two options. If you work in a company or any of your group works in a company and go like, oh, actually, that's an interesting example, you're free to use that company as an example. It would then maybe be good in the challenge if it's not a well-known company, you provide a little bit of context around what the business profile of that company is. So when you go in and you explain your use cases, we, for instance, understand why that makes sense for this company. So it can be a company that you actually know well and you want to do it on. Either you work in it or it's a company that you admire, or it could be a completely fictional company. So again, if I remember correctly, the video that won last year was, I think, a completely fictional company. The benefit here is, of course, you have a lot of freedom to shape it in a way. You can almost think of your use cases first, if you will, and then build a company around that. So there's really a lot of freedom. And I appreciate if you are still students and you go like, I don't know any companies well enough, then making a fictional company could be a sensible option.
um, So we've got another question. They're asking, how should we make the video? What format should it be? So do you have anything specifically you're looking for, or can it be quite open-ended?
Yeah, so last year, what I said, I saw a video that was created with AI, and then there were other videos that were basically a PowerPoint deck, and it was recorded, and they spoke to the slides. which was fine as well. In that particular case, they made the choice, I think, to have it rotate amongst all members of the team. So everybody had a little bit to say, but you could, of course, also just nominate one specific speaker to narrate the video if you're not using AI. In terms of the points that I'd like to see back in the video, on page 2 of the challenge, there are, well, I see it's 4 bullets, but it is 3 bullets, which basically mimics the 3 objectives: understanding the benefits, understanding the challenges, and then implementing, preparing for implementation. So it's basically saying this is what I love about it, and this is a use case that I would love to invest in for my company. And then the second one is around challenges, which could, for instance, be what you see in the cybersecurity threat landscape, or it could be that you have some fears around how people in your organization will work with AI. And then the last bullet point is weighing those benefits and drawbacks when it comes to implementation, and whether you take any measures or controls to kind of address those risks. So those are the 3 things that I'd love to see covered. I think the winning example from last year should also be on YouTube, so you might find that an
Yeah.
interesting inspiration.
Mhm. Yes, no, we challenges from all of the different challenges are still on our YouTube. So again, I advise against copying. That probably we will
I will
do a little bit
remember.
of a check. Exactly, exactly. So that's probably not a good idea, but inspiration is always great. I mean, it's like what's like the quote, like you build on the shoulders of other people. So yeah, take inspiration. One other thing that I think is also just worth kind of reinforcing what you were saying towards the beginning there. You're in quite big groups with 10 people. I think for most groups, I think there's 1 or 2 groups with 9 people. But use the expertise from everyone. You'll all know different things. Some will come from a more technical background, other people from a more policy background or a legal background even. And really kind of maybe try and incorporate everything into your video. I think that's kind of part of the idea of all of these challenges as well. Um, okay, let's see. Are there any other questions? Otherwise, this maybe is a very short Q&A, but really, use this opportunity. Also, if you want to raise your hand, that's also fine, and we can unmute you. And just because it's actually a question that's come up in every other one, so I'll just kind of answer it
Preempted.
now, preempt it now. In terms of where to send a video, don't send it to Microsoft, because it will probably be lost in, it's a big company, probably will not end up in Esther's hands. Send it to us instead at HCSS. I'll quickly put it into the chat, the correct email. And make sure as well it's an accessible format. This is quite important, we don't want to, have an email with a 50 gigabyte video or something that we can't download. So we have to be, so either via like WeTransfer or Google Drive or anything like this. It's all some type of shared drive. It's all good and okay. The other thing that I'm just going to say as well is that we say it's a 3-minute video, and we are quite strict about this. You know, it's the same as every year. If you send in a video of 3 minutes and 1 second, unfortunately, we cannot accept it. I know it sounds really strict. Even 1 or 2 seconds above, we cannot accept it. Under 3 minutes is fine. If you send a minute of 2 minutes, 55 seconds, it's okay. But 3 minutes, absolute maximum. So I've just put it into the chat the email where you should send your video. The deadline is the 5th of November. Yeah, so that's kind of a lot of the technical information. If you have any questions about it as well, about the challenge, you can ask it at this email as well. Yeah, I don't see any other questions. I think your challenge is just written very well, Esther. We have maybe have some questions being typed out.
Oh, such anticipation.
Yes. Yes, of course, Chandra. I think there are not actually that many of, so I will just allow everyone to unmute. There's only a couple of people. So everyone should now be able to unmute themselves, in fact. So if you have a question, I would say just, turn on your camera or you turn on your mic and we can do that. It's quite a small group with us today. Do you have a question, Chandrasekhar? Oh,
Yeah. Hi, Esther. Very good afternoon. Myself,
Hi.
Chandrasekhar. I work for IBM and Kyndryl and Cognizant. Regarding the challenge perspective, you mentioned the challenge is more about AI impact on cybersecurity, right? So are we looking at the physical security and also the digital security and also the other forms of info security? So if you can just throw some lights on it and how many slides you can just look forward so that I'm part of a 5K, the team 5K, so that we all can work together as a team.
Mm-hmm. Yeah, yes, of course, you are right that security as a domain has things like physical security, HR security, other types of typical digital security in its scope. Um, I have found I have not seen too many applications of AI in those security contexts. So I'm not to say there aren't some. I think there are some fields within security that tend to lend itself really well for some AI use cases, like monitoring and detection. We have been working with AI models there for a long time, and you see a lot of the use cases being formulated now also in the monitoring and detection space. That being said, there could be really interesting use cases in, for instance, HR security or physical security with AI. So if you pick a company that you feel it would be worth exploring that in, I would definitely go for that. I think it makes a much more interesting read for me at least. Then yeah, we use it to detect attackers, and I go like, yeah, okay, yeah, that's good. I know. So in terms of interesting me for a read, it would be good if you pick a company and that's a use case you think you can formulate. That would be great. So feel free to use it in that way. In terms of the number of slides, it doesn't need to be slides. Of course, you can create a video without slides. It's just that the video that won last year happened to have prepared a slide deck. They structured their information really quite well. Since it's 3 minutes, I imagine you might not go beyond 10 slides. But that is depending on how fast you talk and how much content you want to cover. But that would be my guideline.
yeah,
And
and I
any
think it's also
specific use cases you would like to, any specific use cases you would like to distribute because there's a multiple teams are there, right? So if you can maybe help us with a specific use case that you would like to pick up out of 10 or 20, that would be a great help for the participants also too.
I see what you mean, but I think the value of this challenge is in not per se discussing the use cases, but approaching it from the perspective that you are a real company and how would you want to go and implement AI in your company? Because that is the practical perspective that I'm looking to kind of especially give to you for those of you who aren't working yet and are maybe looking for their first roles. To have that exercise into what does it mean for me to be part of a company, and if somebody were to come up to me in this company and say, hey Esther, I really want to use AI, what would then my thinking process be around how to actually pick what I think is most worthwhile for my organization? How will I then assess the risks and how will I go and implement it? So that is what I'm trying to kind of get you to do with this challenge. And I feel that if I were to give out specific use cases, that might defeat that purpose, because in the framing of the use case, that's kind of reverse engineering, where I give you a use case and you say, oh, I'm going to do, I don't know, AI for HR security. And now I'm going to figure out how that could be potentially useful for my company. I prefer for you to do the other way, pick a company and then say, these are the use cases that I think really make sense for this company, because that is what you'd be doing in practice.
So there's a question from Aditi, but I think it's a little bit similar to what you've said before in terms of the template or the specific thing for the video. So probably, yeah. I think it's pretty open-ended.
Yeah, I
In
think,
terms of
and I really love to see your creativity, right? So I know that makes it more difficult because you kind of just want me to say, this is the three things you do, and then you win the challenge. I realize that's much more difficult, but then again, I really do appreciate seeing your creativity. I think the easiest guideline that I can give is in terms of the challenge description. There's those bullet points. There's those three sections. If you just very clearly outline, this is my answer to this. This is my outline. That makes it very easy for me to kind of follow and judge. So like I said, last year with the AI videos, it all got blurred and mixed a little bit, and it was very difficult to assess whether the people of the challenge had answered the questions in the challenge.
One thing that is maybe like a question that like I would have, in terms of like, would you rather that the students in the groups, take a quite a broad approach and kind of an overview of the whole domain, or would you rather that they really focus on one or two specific aspects and go quite deep? Because 3 minutes you can't do both. It's a bit pick and choosing what you focus on.
Yeah.
What would you rather?
Yeah, to your point of it being 3 minutes, so I think focus is best. You could go, so what would be ideal, depending on whether you have time and interest in doing it, is that you do your analysis quite broad. So you go in, you sit together, you talk with each other about what would be interesting use cases. You maybe, put a list of 10 on a board, and then you narrow it down to 3 use cases you think would be really interesting for the particular company of your choice. And then that could be something that you mentioned in the videos, like we did an evaluation. These are the 3 use cases that we think are really interesting. And for the sake of this video, we will highlight our top interesting use case, and it's this one, and this is why. But I think, yeah, the 3 minutes is quite a tight constraint. So even though the challenge does invite you to do a broader analysis, and I think from a learning perspective, that is also really useful to you, the 3 minute video makes it such, I imagine you can talk about that for like 45 minutes. But then, yeah, that's going to be difficult for the video. So focusing in, but if you have time to do the broad analysis, I think that will probably enhance the quality of your results.
Absolutely, and it's definitely a skill. Part of the challenge as well is condensing information into 3 minutes. You don't want
Yeah,
to
you can
waste.
definitely tell my consulting background from writing this challenge, right? This is it's basically some of the questions that we would have as working for consultants for organizations doing this. They would ask us stuff like this, and indeed we do that broad analysis first, but in the end there needs to be quite a slick and succinct PowerPoint presentation to a board, and this is the same thing, except you've only got 3 minutes, which is really at least as consultants you get half an hour.
But yeah, so like I think don't spend a minute introducing everyone. I think that's kind of the game here. Okay, does anybody else have any questions or want to unmute themselves or write something in? We'll give it a couple of seconds just to see if
I thought what was also to your point of introducing people, if I remember correctly, the challenge that won last time, they had an org chart on their slide and they had put all team members in their fictional company as like, this is the CFO, this is the CIO. So that was their way of introducing everybody, but still making it relevant to the case. And I thought that was really cute.
That's fun. That's creative. So I see we've got 2 hands up. Satvik, I think you were first, and then Anise second.
You are unmuted, but we can't hear you yet.
Maybe Satvik, we cannot hear you, so maybe if you type out your question, and we can move on to Anise in the meantime.
Hello, now can you hear me?
Oh, yes, now we can hear you.
Yeah, I need to have some little confirmations. As it's a team presentation, so is there any individually we have to make separate PPTs or combinedly we have to make a one?
Oh no, I wouldn't recommend that. I think that would be very difficult. Considering the size of your group, that would mean everybody gets a really short time frame to make a presentation of their own. So I would collaborate together on a single video. And like I mentioned before, you could also have somebody choose somebody to narrate it, or two people to narrate it, just to make sure that it doesn't get too confusing by having 10 separate people speak. But I think considering the video is so short, I would recommend doing it together as one single product rather than combining elements.
Will there be
I
anyone who is
think
monitoring the team like that?
so no, in that sense we know we've you're all either most of you are either undergraduate or postgraduates. We in that sense have a bit of trust in you. You are all adults, so we know that the
Okay,
teams are
okay.
quite big, and you know
And may I know
we
the date
expect
of
you to be able to
presentation?
work together. Sorry, say that again.
May I know the date of presentation?
The date, so the deadline is the 5th of November. I think at 4:30 Indian time, Indian Standard Time. But you can check the study guide for the exact. I don't want to say something wrong here, but the deadline is in the study guide.
Sure, sure.
Also in terms of just to kind of make a bigger point, what maybe I would suggest is like divide the tasks. You have 10 people. Some people can work on the researching, some people can work on recording the voices, other people on the visuals. There's lots of different tactics on how to do this, but teamwork is key. Do not have one person do everything and the rest of 9 people doing nothing. You probably will not end up with a very good video.
Sure, sure.
Okay,
Got it.
Anis, if you want to, I see you are typing, but you can also unmute if you would prefer. Okay, yeah. So this is a bit of So this will, yeah, this can happen. If there are people who are not taking part in your team, or they are uncontactable, let us know. I think there is a bit more on this in the study guide as well. People who do not take part or just ride along in team projects. Email us, because this is of course important as well for the certificates. We do not want to give a certificate to somebody who has done zero effort. So, Anis, if this is the situation, let us know. We will reach out to them as well, see if there's a reason. Maybe they just have a connection issue or something. But email us today, like as soon as possible, and we will sort that out. If it is the case that they do not take part and you have a smaller team, just continue working with however many of you there are. And of course, this will be taken into account when we judge. I think if there's only a couple of you. So again, to the same email as above, it's in the chat. I will just put it in again, which is cyberschool@hcss.nl, which is here we go. So just email it there and mention which group you are in as well. That is important. So 5, B, C, D, E, whichever one it is. And then we can check. No problem. Any more questions for Esther? Because you can always email if there's any technical questions. You can always email us as well, and we can answer them for you. But Esther is only here with us for now.
Esther, I just have one question. Do you know any challenging area for AI for cybersecurity from Microsoft perspective so that we could take up those areas?
I did not fully hear. Did you hear that, Esther? Sorry.
No, I didn't. Sorry.
Sorry, I haven't. Okay, so any specific areas from a Microsoft perspective, Esther would like to add on this particular use cases so that that we can explore. Which is quite challenging. Example, the satellite security or undersea cable securities, something like that, which is more interesting.
Well, so I don't know how much you know about the security technologies that Microsoft offers, but they're quite heavily on the monitoring and detection front. We have recently also expanded our portfolio more in protective areas. So, of course, identity, policies, data governance. So I think as an industry, we're quite comfortable with using AI for detection and monitoring. And I would say some of those are less interesting. I just think from the fact that we've been doing that for a little while. So I would look at some of these other areas. I think the protective, preventative part of cybersecurity, there's still a lot of potential use cases for AI security that we haven't properly explored or matured yet. Of course, there's also incident response and recovery. They're the same is true as in incident response. Yes, it follows from detection and monitoring. And of course, you can do some things in terms of automated attack disruption. But I would say in terms of, if things were to develop to be a full-blown incident, that is still mostly manual human work that is happening to contain that incident. So I would say those sides of the spectrum, either the preventative part or the incident response part, would be really interesting to hear your thoughts about use cases in this area. I would say the monitoring and detection space, if you come up with that use case as, you're analyzing your company and that is the use case that you come up with, that is absolutely fine. And I won't subtract points for that. Because the analysis starts with your company first and what they need. But that being said, the AI use cases in the monitoring detection space has been a little bit done, and we get what's happening in that space. So the other use cases are definitely more interesting, either at the full front, preventative, or at the far back in terms of incident response and recovery.
Amazing, thank you. Okay, we're slowly running out of time. But are there any last questions for Esther? Speak now or forever hold your
Hold
silence.
your peace forever.
No, that's not completely true. You can always email us, but no. Okay, well, in that case, Esther, do you maybe have any last words of encouragement, last words of advice, or any tips? I don't know.
Any tips? So, I felt what was really interesting about last year were some of the videos produced with AI. Of course, technology in terms of the AI space has come a long way in a year. So I'm not even sure what, if you were to work with AI for the production of your video, how much better that would be than last year. Of course, I'm not just talking about the graphics being prettier, but in terms of creating a narrative, that's really good. So I would say, explore that, explore doing it with AI for sure. I think it will be partially quicker than it might be doing everything manually. But last year, still, I felt the manual answer was better than the AI answer. So also think critically in that space. I would encourage you to try and see what AI can do for you in this challenge. But if you're not completely happy with it, then you should probably go the manual route. If you want to win, of course, which you all do. I know.
Amazing. Well,
eternal glory and things.
There we go. Absolutely. Well, thank you so much, Esther. It's been really great having you. And thank you for being able to reschedule so last minute as well. So good luck, everyone. The deadline is the 5th of November, so you still have just a little bit over a week, so plenty of time. Remember to send it to us, to cyberschool@hcss.nl. Thank you all so much. I think, Aditi, that might be a better question maybe for another time, less to do with the with the challenge. Thank you all very, very much, and see you later. We have another session tomorrow with Cyberverse. No, sorry, Cyber People and Blockverse. So really do come to that as well, and we'll see you then. Bye bye, everyone.
Bye. Thank you. Good luck.